Hey, quick note before we get going. This is a really long podcast. My co-host Kevin Helfrich and I talked about so much for about 40 minutes. So if you are just here for high school basketball and Coach Daniels go about 35 minutes in, Coach Daniels at about 40 minutes in. Don't want to waste your time if that's all you're here for, but we do think you'll enjoy the whole thing. Thanks to Kevin Helfrich and to Coach Daniels.
You're listening to Greg and his friends talk sports every day on the Central Indiana Sports Report.
Thank you, producer Susie, for the live intro. Welcome, Central Indiana sports fans, to the Central Indiana Sports Report for my daily podcast, Greg and his friends talk sports. When do I quit saying new podcast?
Got a while yet to go.
I can still say new? Okay.
Still say new.
My new daily podcast, Greg and his friends talk sports. I'm your host, Greg Mengel, and every day my friends and I are talking about whatever Central Indiana sports fans are talking about. Coming up today, Saturday, March 14, 2026, scores and highlights from all the NCAA tournaments, NCAA conference tournaments, focusing, of course, on the Big Ten and the Purdue Boilermakers. And NAIA National Regionals, both men and women. Pacers against the Knicks, some minor Colts news, and seriously, so much more. Joining me now is Kevin Helfrich of the Action Sports Network, Grant Schaus's partner, calling games during the football and basketball season. I assume they'll be doing it during the baseball, softball season coming up as well. And Kevin and I may be here all night on Riverside because we got a lot to talk about. We're also going to look ahead to Saturday's local boys basketball regionals and my Saturday conversation with my friend and Blackford boys basketball head coach, Aaron Daniels, as his team prepares the Lapel Bulldogs at Lapel on Saturday in the regional. And we're doing kind of a live Greg and his friends talk sports here with Kevin Helfrich. And Kevin, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
And Kevin has been on the show several times talking about NAIA basketball and some high school basketball as well. And Kevin and I are going to do a live version here where we just kind of go through what happened during the day. And again, we're going to look ahead to Saturday. And what happened on Friday was, Kevin, the Boilermakers are sucking me back in again. Probably their best performance start to finish of the year. Led wire to wire in a 74-58 win over Nebraska. 17 points off turnovers, none for Nebraska. 13 offensive rebounds, 26 points in the paint. Fletcher Lawyers 4 for 9 from the three-point line with a team high 19 points. Oscar Clough 12 points, 9 rebounds. Trey Kaufman-Renn at 10 points, 9 rebounds. CJ Cox was 3 for 6 behind the three-point line, scored 12 points. And Braden Smith, 5 points, 5 rebounds, and 10 assists. Now 21 assists shy of Bobby Hurley's national record with at least 2 games left to play. Kevin, do you remember Bobby Hurley?
Oh, yeah, I do.
One of the all-time greats.
Yeah, he was. What a dominating performance today by Purdue. Just a very impressive win. And when they could put it all together, it got quite the inside-outside game, and that was in full effect today. And they really just had that game from the start, and Nebraska never really had a chance.
Yeah, they just blitzed them from the beginning. Nebraska made a couple of late kind of runs, and Purdue had an answer every time. Kevin, I'm not sure if I should start having hope again in this Purdue team. You know, just like 36 hours ago, I was completely out, and now they've sucked me right back in. Here's what I'm sure of. Nebraska's a really good matchup for Purdue.
Yeah, they really are. Purdue's kind of had their way with them, and I think you can have your hopes up for Purdue in this Big Ten tournament for sure. I don't like them in the NCAA tournament getting to the Final Four or anything like that, but they're a good team, and when they play well, they can beat anybody on any given night.
And they're going to be playing UCLA after UCLA upset number 8 Michigan State. And they kind of dominated too, ended up winning by 4, but the Bruins led most of that game and kind of an upset. I picked Michigan State to win this tournament. Instead, it's going to be Purdue against UCLA at about 2:30 on Saturday.
Yeah, UCLA has really been playing pretty well as of late, and they're a team that you don't really want to play right now, and that should be a fun one.
The first semifinal on Saturday is going to be number 3 Michigan against Wisconsin. That's at noon on Fox. Michigan held off Ohio State 71-68. Michigan led almost all the way, but Ohio State did take a 61-60 lead with 5 minutes left. With the best front court in the country, Johnson, Mara, and Lindenborg struggled most of the day, but made huge plays down the stretch. Those guys are so good, Kevin.
It's just been a heck of a year so far for Michigan. They had a close game with Michigan State last week, and then a close one today with Ohio State, but they just find a way to win. That's what they do. They're a very impressive team. They are a team that I would say is definitely one of the favorites to cut down the nets in early April.
Their guards concern me a little bit, but if their guards play well, they're almost unbeatable. And they play Wisconsin again on Saturday. Wisconsin came back from 15 points down in the final 11 minutes to beat number 9 Illinois, the final game for Tipton grad Ben Humrickhouse. Final score, Badgers win 91-88 in overtime. Second night in a row, a different Badger has set a program record in points in the Big Ten Tournament. This time it was Nick Boyd with 38 points in the win. John Blackwell with back-to-back nights of 30-plus points with 31, and Wisconsin with the upset win.
Boy, yeah, Wisconsin just showed a lot of fight today, and really I kind of counted them out when they were down 15. I was sort of kept watching it just to see what may happen, and sure enough, the game gets to overtime, and Wisconsin takes advantage of that opportunity, and they live to see another day in the tournament.
In the ACC championship in Charlotte, it'll be number 1 Duke against number 10 Virginia, unless Clemson makes a miraculous comeback down 15 with 3 minutes to go. But producer Susie says do not write it in until it's over.
Right.
Earlier, Virginia beat Miami 84-62, and I got to be honest, Kevin, I haven't seen this Virginia team. I had no idea they were any good until late in the year. They just started winning all the time. It's what Virginia does, apparently.
Yeah, I hadn't paid any attention to them really at all, and then I saw that score tonight, and it was kind of shocking to me the way they dominated today, and I got a chance to make an even deeper run and win that ACC tournament.
Yeah, look up a couple weeks ago they're number 25, and you look up this week they're number 10.
Right. I think they have 4 losses or something. Are they 29? What's their record? 29-4.
29-4. That's impressive.
Yeah, it's a quiet year. I mean, I had no idea Virginia was as good as they are, and we'll see what that. I don't know that the ACC though is near the conference as some of these other conferences, so we'll see how that turns out in really March Madness.
I tell you what, Cam Boozer's in the ACC, and he's really good. Duke's got a shot, that's for sure.
Yeah, they had to survive a scare from Florida State the other day, so but they won, and
they're not great.
No.
But they can definitely win it.
Yeah. There's a handful of teams I think that have a really good shot to get there and play in the Final Four.
I don't know when the last time I picked Duke was, but I think that's where I'm leaning. In the Big East at Madison Square Garden, Braylon Mullins and the number 6 UConn Huskies against Rick Pitino and the number 13 St. John's Johnnies in the championship game on Saturday. Mullins had a game-high 21 points in UConn's 67-51 win over Georgetown late Friday. In the first semifinal was the number 13. In the first semifinal was number 13 St. John 78-68 over Seton Hall. The Johnnies were 21 for 36 from 2-point range. And say what you want, Kevin, Rick Pitino can still coach, man.
Well, he flat out can he? I mean, his teams just win, and it doesn't matter where he's coached. He's always won, and now he's got a chance for another conference title.
One of the all-time greats. And in case I didn't say it, championship game 6:30 Saturday on Fox, and that should be a really good one. Did you ever cover Braylon Mullins in high school?
I did not, but I've had a chance to watch a little bit of him this year on TV. He's quite the offensive player, no doubt. He's quite the scorer.
You're expecting him to be a lottery pick.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive.
And Kevin, unless Kansas makes a miraculous comeback, the Big 12 championship is going to be number 2 Arizona against number 5 Houston. Man, two more teams that could win it all. 5 o'clock Saturday on ESPN. In Friday's semifinals, it was number 2 Arizona 82-80 over number 7 Iowa State. The Cyclones led the entire first 30 minutes, and the Wildcats showed why they're number 2 and a strong contender to win it all in the final 10 minutes and won it on Jaden Bradley's crazy buzzer beater, falling away over 2 guys. And the finish was worthy of the game, Kevin.
That Iowa State team now the last 2 years in conference tournament play is just blew double-digit leads, and they're probably just headed back to Ames, kind of just kicking themselves, thinking what could have been.
Another potential lottery pick, Kingston Flemings from Houston, 18 points. Still 4 minutes to go in that game, but Houston is up 19 points on Kansas. Flory Badunga, 4 points for the Jayhawks. Potential future Pacer, Darren Peterson, 14 points. The quarterfinals in the SEC in Nashville. Number 4, Florida, 71-63 over Kentucky. And Kevin, any day Kentucky loses is a good day. Any day Kentucky is eliminated from a tournament is a great day.
Couldn't agree more with you there. Not ever been really a Kentucky fan, that's for sure. There's plenty of people in Big Blue Nation. They don't need anybody from the great state of Indiana to cheer for them.
Try living down here on the river. Whole new perspective. Number 22, Vanderbilt, 75-68 over number 25, Tennessee. Rick Barnes and tournaments just don't mix.
No, they really don't. He's had a lot of good teams over the years, but never can seem to win the big ones. That's for sure.
Ole Miss upset number 15, Alabama, 80-79. The Tide turned the ball over on the final possession with a chance to win it. And the semifinals on Saturday will be Florida versus Vandy at 1. And Ole Miss against either Oklahoma or number 17 Arkansas at 3:30. That is a close game with 12 minutes to go. And I'm not going to stay up and find out who wins. By the way, the SEC kind of sucks this year, Kevin.
Yeah, it's really not anybody there that you think that has
Florida.
a chance really to cut it down. But Florida, yeah, defending champs, I mean, you can never count them out. So
And
they would be the one
legit
team.
good.
Yeah, that'd be the one team there that could do it.
And we know who producer Susie's dad's going to pick.
Florida.
He picks Florida no matter what their seed every year. So. In the MAC, Akron beat Kent 75-68. Toledo beat UMass 77-67. So it's 28-5 Akron against 19-14 Toledo in the championship Saturday at 8 in Cleveland and on ESPN2. Some other championship games on Saturday around the country. Vermont versus UMBC for the America East at 11 a.m. on ESPN2, followed by Howard versus North Carolina State or Delaware State in the MEAC. Prairie View versus Southern for the SWAC at 7:30 on ESPNU. Kennesaw State versus Louisiana Tech for the Conference USA Championship at 8:30 on the CBS Sports Network. And Kevin was actually at Lucky Arena today. We're going to hear about that here in just a minute. But let's start in Winona Lake, where top seed and second-ranked Grace defeated Johnson, Tennessee, 88-80. The Lancers now 28-3. Shot 55% from the field. Gage Sefton from Fort Wayne, 24 points. Ian Rash from Napanee, 20. Gavin Betton from Manchester, 13 points, 5 rebounds, and 3 assists. And the Lancers will take on Southeastern Florida at 3:30 on Saturday for the regional championship. And producer Susie and I have been there.
Yeah, a little bit of a surprise for me today to see that score, and it was a close game. Grace only led by 2 at the half, and it was actually just a 5-point game with a little over 2 minutes to go. But Grace has got no seniors on that squad, so there could be a postseason jitters to start the NAIA tournament. Sometimes you just got to get those out of the way in the first game, and I think they'll be all right tomorrow.
I have a feeling they will have their way with Southeastern on Saturday. By the way, Southeastern in beautiful Lakeland, Florida.
Yeah, and when I played for Indiana Wesleyan baseball, I was able to actually pitch at Lakeland on the Tigers' spring training complex. We had a game down there for our spring trip, so very familiar with Lakeland.
Very cool. And at Marion, where Kevin was Indiana Wesleyan 71-60 over St. Francis, Illinois. The Wildcats will play Dalton State, Georgia on Saturday. Dalton State beat Shawnee State, Ohio 59-57. Championship game is at 4 o'clock Saturday, and Caden Bontrager from Fort Wayne, 26 points. Marcus Anke from Center Grove, 12 off the bench for the 27-5 Wildcats. Tell us about it.
It was a good thing the player of the year, Caden Bontrager, decided to show up in the first half especially. He scored the first 8 points of the game. And he actually never trailed in this one. But give credit to St. Francis. They got back in the game. They had it down to 7 at half. IWU only scored 27 points. I've never seen them struggle like that all year long offensively. Not another single starter scored in the first half. They had 4 other starters. None of them scored. Unbelievable. But Ankney came off the bench in that opening half, scored 6 of his 12 points. I thought he really energized them in both halves. And he kind of was the X factor. Indiana Wesleyan bench outscored St. Francis 27-14. Wildcats dominated on the boards as well. So, it was an uncharacteristic offensive performance by Indiana Wesleyan, but they really showed up defensively. They really played well today. They had a big run in the second half that opened up the game. They had a 14-3 run. Started about the 15-minute mark, and then in less than 3.5 minutes, they pushed that lead to 17, and really were never threatened there. It was a double-digit game all the way until the final minute. They hit a 3 late to get it to 9, but never really threatened the final 15 minutes of this one, and they lived to see another day, but it's going to be a tough basketball game tomorrow. I watched a little bit of that Dalton State team. They've won 13 in a row, hottest team in this region, so it'll be a tough one tomorrow. Very athletic team. I think it's going to be an up-and-down basketball game. It's going to be high-scoring tomorrow.
You stole my question. How much of the game did you get to see?
Well, I didn't. I just watched a little bit, but I caught most of the second half. I was flipping back and forth between the Indiana Wesleyan women and the Dalton State game just to kind of get a feel for that. But they pretty much dominated that game against Shawnee State, who really gave Indiana Wesleyan a heck of a game earlier in the year. Indiana Wesleyan ended up winning by double digits, but it really was closer than that final score. So I think we are in for a really good basketball game in the Lucky Arena tomorrow.
Kevin, from here on out, every game is tough.
That's right. It is. It's like you say, it's March basketball. It's why they call it madness. And really, really looking forward to watching that game tomorrow. Indiana Wesleyan's going to have to play much better offensively tomorrow than they did today.
Bethel beat Life Georgia 75-62. Will play host Georgetown for the championship Saturday at 5. Georgetown, Kentucky, of course. Georgetown eliminated IUK 86-73. Also, Taylor lost to Northwestern Iowa 100-63. Bellevue, Nebraska upset 3-seed Huntington 62-52 at Huntington. And Indiana Tech was eliminated by host Cumberland's Kentucky.
Yeah, kind of a disappointing day in some regards for the Crossroads League. Taylor just absolutely made that long trip on there and might as well have stayed on the bus. They just could not stop you or I don't think, on this day. They give up 100 points. That's no defense at all. And then you get Huntington with kind of a disappointing loss there at home. Really struggled to score offensively, and only went about 6 deep that game, and nobody really had that good of a game for them other than their big guy. But I know they're probably not very happy over there tonight.
And as Kevin mentioned, he watched the Indiana Wesleyan women's game as well. And let's turn to the women's NAIA tournament and at Rio Grande, Ohio. And again, I know that's not how it's pronounced, but that's how I'm saying it. 10-seed Indiana Wesleyan 76-69 in overtime over 7-seed Cumberland's. The 18-13 Wildcats will play 2-seed and host 31-1 Red Storm at 7 Saturday. And Kevin, that should be a great game.
Boy, it's going to take an absolute Hercules-type effort from Indiana Wesleyan, because if they play the way they do today, that one may not be too pretty for them tomorrow. I mean, Indiana Wesleyan, this game today, had combined nearly 50 fouls in it. It was hard to watch at times. Neither team really shot the ball real well, and Indiana Wesleyan really struggled from the free throw line, just 12 of 25. But they trailed most of the game in the first half. They were down 8. They were able to get back in. It was pretty close most of the second half, and they were actually down 5 with just under 3 minutes to play. Got it even, had a chance to win it in regulation, turned it over, And Cumberland's got a good look at a 15-foot jumper that just did not go, or Indiana Wesleyan would be headed back to Marion tonight probably. But they lived to see another day. They had an outstanding performance from their freshman. Ayla Krieger, she had 30 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists. So that's a solid foundation to build off of for sure. And they've got a chance. That's why you play the game. But it's going to take an excellent effort tomorrow.
Kevin, it may have been ugly, but that's a big win.
It is a big win. It's just kind of a program win. This is a team, again, it's been to the tournament so many times. It doesn't matter what their record is or whatever. They're going to compete, and they're going to find a way. And tonight they were able to find that way.
In Indy, Marion 96-67 over Haskell, Kansas. They'll play Columbia, Missouri at 6 Saturday for the championship, and the Knights might be a juggernaut.
Boy, they are just really destroying people right now. They're playing some really good basketball. And, the Crossroads League had a kind of a banner day today in women's. So it goes 6-1 on the day. I don't think there's any other conference that probably performed like that. And they've got to be happy with the results they got overall.
And we'll keep talking about that. 9-seed Huntington 57-52 over 8-seed Oregon Tech. Huntington outscored the Owls 13-6 in the fourth in a defensive struggle. The 19-11 Forcers will take on top seed Bethel, Tennessee at 5 Saturday. St. Francis ran past Brescia, Kentucky 84-56 and will play College of Idaho for a regional championship Saturday at 3 in Fort Wayne. Also Friday, Taylor lost 83-58 at Georgetown to the host Tigers. Spring Arbor beat Indiana Tech 59-56.
Taylor started the season 14-0, Greg, and they come to a halt in a hurry. They finished 17-13 on the year, so you lose 13 out of your last 16 games. That's not a good way to go into the offseason. I think tomorrow could be a difficult day for the Crossroads League women, though. I only see Marion and St. Francis as the two really to move on after the round tomorrow and get to that Sweet 16. I think it's going to be tough for Huntington's, Indiana Wesleyan, Bethel, Spring Arbor. I just don't know that they've got enough to pull another win out back-to-back nights.
I can't believe you're counting out the Wildcats.
I hope Coach Whaley really isn't listening to this because, he may not let me in the gym, but nothing against them. They're running into a buzzsaw tomorrow, 31-1. On their home floor. That's a tall task to ask.
Crossroads is a better league. Don't be surprised.
I'll be watching. That's for sure.
Ball State was eliminated from the MAC tournament by Toledo 69-65. It'll be 21-6 Miami against 17-14 Toledo in Saturday's 12:30 championship in Cleveland. That game is on CBS Sports Network. And Jackie Hosier and the Vermont Catamounts are headed to the NCAA tournament after beating Maine 61-43. Hosier's averaging 2.7 points as a freshman in Burlington. Hosier and the Catamounts are 27-7 entering the NCAA tournament. And I know you saw a lot of Jackie in high school.
Yeah, she was quite the player in high school, and I'm sure she will develop into quite the college basketball player too. That freshman year is always, hard to get minutes on the floor. So, she'll stick with it. She comes from a great background, and she knows a thing or two about putting the basketball in the hoop.
And I'll tell you what, if you're getting 5 minutes in a conference championship game as a freshman, you got a bright future.
Yeah, you really do. She's going to be a good one, and she probably can't wait to get her opportunity when it comes.
The Pacers lost their 12th consecutive game tonight, Kevin. 101-92 to the Knicks, who are now third in the East at 43-25. The Pacers were actually within 88-86 with just over 3 minutes left. Ivica Zubac, 11 points, 8 rebounds in 29 minutes in his second game as a Pacer. Jarris Walker, 16 points, 9 rebounds, 3 assists. The Pacers are in Milwaukee Sunday, at Madison Square Garden Tuesday, before returning home Wednesday against the Blazers.
Yeah, it's never fun to lose, but, if you're a Pacer fan, the only good thing about it is you're going to get a high draft pick and maybe even the number 1 overall pick, and you're looking towards next year anyway. So, you knew without Tyrese that this was going to be a tough year, and it has been. And you know, they've battled. They just haven't had enough to really win too many games.
Kevin, with the Pacers not having the worst record in the league, the new mock drafts are out, and it seems pretty split on who the Pacers would take if they had the number one pick, which is I believe 14.5% chance that they would have the number one pick if they stay with the worst record in the league, and split between AJ DeBonsa, Cam Boozer, and a little bit of Darren Peterson, who doesn't fit the Pacers' needs quite as much, but might be the most talented player in the draft. If the Pacers have a top 4 pick, it'll be interesting to see what direction they go.
They need some help at different positions, so I don't know that you can necessarily go wrong with either of those picks, but yeah, it'll be up to the head brass there to make that call, and look for them to be competitive, though. Once again, next year they'll be right back in the fight in the Eastern Conference, get Tyrese back and get a good draft pick, and I think the future is bright in Indy, even though it's pretty bleak right now.
I saw a tweet this week that said NBA executives are, quote, concerned that the Pacers could have a front line of Pascal Siakam, Ivica Zubac, and AJ DeBonsa.
Yeah, it could be pretty formative for sure.
Whew. I get excited thinking about it. May 10th, that's the day.
I know, I can't wait.
A little bit of Colts news, Kevin. In the last 24 hours, the Colts signed Derek Nandi to a 1-year deal, re-signed Derek Ogletree and Laquan Treadwell to 1-year deals. They also added safeties Jonathan Owens, the husband of Simone Biles, and Juan Yi Thomas. All these seem like solid moves, especially considering the salary cap predicament that the Daniel Jones and Alec Pierce contracts have kind of put him in. Kevin, your thoughts on the Daniel Jones deal?
Well, I don't know that I'm real sold on that 2-year 44. I don't know if he's worth that kind of money. I wouldn't mind him just taking Kyler Murray for a bargain, right, and just let him be the quarterback, or even, you know, Riley Leonard looked all right last year too coming in. I mean, take your chance with him. Daniel Jones is injury prone, and he got off to a great start last year, but look how it finished, and it didn't finish well for the Colts. So, and now you've lost a lot of key defensive parts. I'm a little concerned about the defense too. You got a lot of holes to fill here in this upcoming draft, or if they can get any other free agents. But right now, I'm not sold on the Colts next year. You lose Pittman too, who's just, he's not maybe a superstar receiver, but he's a possession receiver, a big target. And I know Pierce has had, average yards per catch and over 1,000 yards last year, but they're going to have some other people. And I know they got Josh Downs in the slot, but boy, they need another third solid receiver. And so it's going to be an interesting year for Ballard, see what he does. A lot of people would like to see him gone. He's had a lot of chances, and it's time for him to go if they don't get to the playoffs this year. I don't know how he could survive another year.
Yeah, Daniel Jones is the right answer if what you want to do is win a couple more games this year. But
right, yeah.
If that's your goal, then our goal is the goal of a loser franchise.
Yeah, and how do we really know how he's going to come back from his injury, or if he's really going to be ready, when he's going to be ready? That's a lot of money to be giving a guy when you could have went out and got a bargain deal for a suitable, just a suitable quarterback as him, I do think.
Absolutely agree with you. Kyler Murray, as Kevin mentioned, signed with the Vikings. They say they will evaluate their quarterback situation smartly, and that might be a big deal. Maybe not. Maybe Kyler Murray's not a great quarterback, but that might end up being bigger than we think, Kevin.
Right, yeah. I mean, I don't know that Daniel Jones is a great quarterback. He was a great quarterback for, 8 weeks it was, and then he turned into the old...
Kyler Murray's been a great quarterback for 8 weeks at times, too.
That's right. He really has. So take your savings and get some other valuable pieces, too, instead. They chose to give Danny Dimes pretty much what he wanted, really. He wanted, 3-year, $150 million. He got 2-year, $88, and how much of that was guaranteed? He's coming out pretty good. Either way, I don't think he's going to be hurting to get groceries or gas anytime soon.
The Titans released L'Jarius Sneed. I think that's probably the biggest deal of everything that happened today to save money. And and he's going to land somewhere with a contender, and that'll be interesting. Bill signed C.J. Gardner-Johnson to a 1-year deal. Probably not a big deal, but could be if he goes back to kind of his, his best days. Trey Hendrickson passed his physical with the Ravens. I thought that was funny to put in the notes. Dre Greenlaw is returning to the 49ers after a year in Denver. That's interesting. Lamar Jackson restructuring his deal to be cap-friendly with the new Trey Hendrickson deal. Max Crosby tweeted that he intends to stay with the Raiders. The Jaguars say they're not trading Brian Thomas Jr. The same thing with A.J. Brown and the Eagles, so I expect them to be with different teams next year, Kevin.
Right, yeah, I think so. I think you're right there.
And Tony Dungy announced his retirement from NBC's Sunday Night Football pregame show.
Always enjoyed listening to him. Always calm, cool, collected, and always well thought out what he spoke. And we'll miss him on Sunday Night Football.
No one would ever call him controversial, but he is insightful.
That's right. Yeah, for sure.
He'll be missed. Great guy, too. One of the all-time great guys. Grayson Gilliard was named Indiana Miss Basketball over McDonald's All-American Lola Lampley. A little controversial, but I'll say this, Kevin. Grayson Gilliard went out and won that award. Scott McLaughlin was fastest at practice for the inaugural Grand Prix of Arlington. Of course, Scott, a distant cousin of producer Susie, around Cowboy Stadium, and it was reportedly the fastest road course lap ever run. And this might be the fastest road course in history. Alex Below was second, Will Power third, Pato Award fourth, so the usual suspects. Qualifying is Saturday at 2:30, and Elijah Poe will be on the show tomorrow to talk about it. And we had our IndyCar report on Thursday. We made our predictions. Go check that out. And we will have a reaction after the race. And Kevin, looking ahead to the regionals on Saturday, our local regionals 4A South at Southport at 4. Number 4, Mount Vernon, 24-3 against number 3, Pike. A rematch of a classic on February 10th, won in overtime by Pike. Also, that game is followed by 14-11 Lawrence Central against 19-6 Decatur Central. A bit of a letdown. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, that first one's going to be a heck of a game.
Yes, it is. I saw Kyle Neddenrip tweeted today, hey, don't forget there's another game at Southport. 4A in the North at Logansport, 4 o'clock. It's 18-8 Harrison against 19-6 Homestead. And number 10 Carmel, after its upset of Fishers, faces 19-7 Fort Wayne Snyder at Newcastle at 4 and should win its first regional championship since 2021.
That was a heck of a game from Carmel last week to win the sectional, and had to get the defensive stop to move on, and they got it, and big win for that program.
Fishers went undefeated, but they kind of played with fire all year, and they played a lot of close games. Not as shocking as you would think.
True, yeah. Carmel's a good basketball team, too. They've won some big games throughout the year, so, yeah, not as shocking as you would think.
Actually trailed at halftime by 7 the previous game. 3A in the North, the first game at Newcastle at 1. It's 15-10 Delta against 20-7 Fort Wayne Blackhawk. The Braves ranked 12th. Delta playing for its 4th straight regional championship, Kevin.
Yeah, I think that could be a really good basketball game. I wouldn't be totally shocked if Delta wins that game. I mean, Blackhawk, they came out of the DeKalb sectional, and there weren't a lot of really strong teams there, and they had some really close games with DeKalb, East Noble. So, I know Delta.
Give me Mark Detweiler. I'm taking Delta.
Right, I think so, too.
2A in the North is where most of our attention will be here at the Central Indiana Sports Report. And that's because at 4 o'clock at Frankfurt's Wiener Arena, I love calling it that, number 2 Oak Hill against Benton Central. The Golden Eagles 24-1, Benton Central 11-14. Kevin, your thoughts on that one?
Well, I like this Oak Hill basketball team. I saw them, a few times throughout the year and live in the community, and they're going to show up to play. They're going to look at that record of the opposing team who may have a losing record. Oak Hill's going to come out and play the way Oak Hill does, and they're going to get in your face. They're going to play tenacious defense, and they're going to share the basketball. They're going to have 5 guys on the court that can score at all times, and I don't look for them to have any trouble against Benton Central tomorrow. I like Oak Hill. It's the next week that becomes quite the semi-state in the northern part of the state. I do believe there'll be a lot of good teams in that one.
And then at Lapel, it's the number 9 Bulldogs, 20-5, against 20-6 Blackford at 4 o'clock. Kevin, Grant picked Blackford to win this. Michelle and I both picked Lapel. Michelle says she thinks Lapel will win easily. I think it's going to be a really good game. Your thoughts?
Well, the one thing I will say about Blackford, having seen them play twice last week, is if the game's close, they're going to make plays. They found a way to win. They were on the ropes against Alexandria, and they had to make plays. They got it from, their super sophomore, Amari Leggett, but then Mason Kitterman, to me, is an outstanding basketball player who probably doesn't get enough of the spotlight. He just makes plays. He rebounds the basketball. He hits big shots. I like those 2 guys. I feel like Lapel is going to win this basketball game. I'd like to see Blackford win, but I don't like the fact that Lapel gets to play at a regional. Nothing against them, but I don't think anybody should be hosting a regional. I think the game's too big and too important to let people have home games in regionals. I understand sectionals, but when it comes to regional play, the stakes get higher, and I don't think there should be that kind of advantage for a team. And I think that will ultimately play a factor tomorrow, and I think Lapel wins this game.
By the way, coming up in just a minute, our Saturday conversation with Blackford head coach Aaron Daniels. Class A in the North, right before the Lapel Blackford game, is number 6 Southwood against number 7 Monroe Central, and that should be a really good one.
Yeah, I really hope Southwood can find a way to pull that one out. They're a team that is in the past. They've been to the state finals. They've upset teams before, and when they beat that team from Blackhawk, I can remember at Huntington, the year that Oak Hill also went and won the state. They had a big game there. So they're used to some big-time moments at Southwood. They've had some good football teams over the years. For a small school, they've produced a lot of good teams. So look at their volleyball program. I mean, they find a way to compete at the Class A level for sure.
At Frankfort at 1 o'clock, it's number 10 Rossville 20-5 against 15-11 North Vermilion. That one's right before the Oak Hill Benton Central game.
Yeah, I probably like Rossville on that one to win and move on.
And in the South at 4 o'clock at Greenfield, number 9 Liberty Christian 18-7 against 11-14 Greenwood Christian, and Liberty Christian should win another regional championship.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I think they'll easily win that game tomorrow and find themselves in a semi-state.
All right, Kevin, stick with me for just a minute while we hear from Blackford head coach Aaron Daniels. Welcome back to the Central Indiana Sports Report. Blackford Bruins head coach Aaron Daniels for the Saturday conversation here. Coach has about 10 minutes here to talk about his team and Lapel coming up on Saturday. Coach, first I want to know, should I be getting my hopes up about the Purdue Boilermakers after 2 really good performances here the last couple of
Well, it's like anything. You want to be playing your best basketball in March, and if you'd asked me, about 2 weeks ago, I said no, they don't look very good, but 2 games in a row, they've looked really good, and that's, it only takes a couple of games here in March to be playing well, and they're preseason number 1, so everybody knows how good they're going to be, so it's only a matter of time, but I think they've got a chance.
Coach, yesterday, I had given up hope, and now today, after 2 games, I'm back on the bandwagon. I bet you haven't had a lot of time to watch these conference tournaments like you have in the past few years, have you?
It is unique. I mean, the winning the sectional and all the hoopla that comes with it, I'll take that over missing some college basketball any day of the week.
I bet you will.
It's definitely thrown off the schedule a little bit, no doubt about it.
I bet you will. Coach, I know this is, I think every sport, kind of a fun week, a challenging week, sometimes an unfocused week between the sectional and the regional. What's it been like for your team?
I would completely agree with that. We've got coaches that want to come in, their seasons are over and some different things. They want to come in and watch practice. There can be distractions. There's a pep rally. There's people that want to feed the team. So it is unique. And yeah, there's podcasters that want to talk to everybody. So it is unique in the sense that it's easy to have distractions, but in the same time, that's what makes it fun. That's what makes these things special, that makes the kids remember these things for year after year. And they're going to remember those times where they were in the newspaper and they got interviewed and they got on the podcast. And so I think all of that comes with the experience that you gain as well. I think that'll hold true this time next year as much as anything, that it is unique, it is distractful, but at the same time, it's special.
You think the spotlight's big this week. If you win this week, it gets even bigger next week. But we'll talk about that if that happens later on, because it is a big, big challenge on Saturday. Not only a lapel team that's on fire, but on their home floor. Coach, your thoughts on lapel after a week of watching film?
Well, they what they do is really well, and they're quick, they're athletic. They've got 7 guys that can drop 20 points on any night, so they're really hard to prepare for. It's not one guy that you're game planning on, or even 2, or even 3 that you're trying to key on. They've got a lot of depth, and they got a lot of players that can hurt you, and they shoot it really well. So we've kind of focused on the things that they do really well. They run well in transition, so you've got to get back in transition. They've been relentless on the offensive glass, and then you've got a Garber kid who over the last 7 games has played as well as anybody we've seen. So they're playing their best basketball right now through the stretch. And really, we tried to focus on the last probably 7 or 8 games, because this is a team that has improved a ton from early in the season. They are playing better than really anybody that we've seen here lately. And so we've just tried to focus on things that they do well. And then we try to focus on things that we do well. What can we continue to build off of? And I think we've grown up a lot as a team over that sectional stretch. And we had talked before the sectional, you see 3 tough games and go, wow, what a tough draw. But now you sit here in regional week and you say, wow, thankful for that draw, because now we've been in 3 close games in the sectional. You've found ways to win. You mentally are tougher for it. And so it's been a great experience. And Lapel's a great basketball team. And if it's not already going to be hard enough, now you got to play them on their home floor, which makes it even tougher. But it's going to be a great challenge for us. And we're going to see where we are as a basketball team against a team that's, a top 10 team in the state of Indiana.
And Coach, this is my opinion. Tell me if I'm wrong, but I think the biggest difference between your team over the last month is Mari Leggett is a great player. At times, I thought he forced things. If you want to put it nicely, he took a lot of very confident shots that weren't necessarily great shots. And here lately, not only is he finding his teammates when they're open, he is not forcing shots.
Well, and that's kind of been the story of our season. There's going to be nights where Mari scores 30 and he's forcing things, and it's not a good thing. And there's nights where he scores 10 and he doesn't force anything, and it's what they're giving him, and it is. So I think it's really come down to him growing up, as a sophomore and taking what the defense gives him. And then I think the other thing is that he has trust now in our role players. Our role players have played really good here for the last, couple of weeks. And so he just is a kid that can do it all. And when you can score it on every single possession, more things you can, it becomes a thing where now you have to read what the defense is giving you. And sometimes when they're double and triple teaming you, we have to make that extra pass and throw it to the guy. And that's what he's done here over the last 6 or 7 games. I mean, he has just been a fantastic, complete basketball player. Early on, he got 42 in a game and had 10 turnovers. And yes, the 42 was awesome, and we're probably not in the game without it. But he also forced some things and turned it over 10 times, and we're just not doing that now. He's been so much better. And against a team like Lapel that can speed you up, it's important that we don't do that, because, they're going to have guys, and you try to split 2 or 3 guys, that's going to be a knock away for a layup. So I think his growth and maturity is probably the biggest reason we are where we are.
And Coach, everyone's known about Mason Kitterman all year. He's kind of, the running mate, or however you want to put it. But I feel like in the postseason, he has taken a huge step forward, and it's just that, hey, if we need points, I'll go get them.
Yeah, and we're a team now that you have to focus on both guys, because if you just spend a week preparing for Mari, and that's what people have right now, they've got a week to prepare and different things. They say, hey, we're not going to let the guy that's averaging 30 points a game get to his total. But if you do not have Mason Kitterman at the top of your scouting report, it's a problem because he is a phenomenal basketball player, and we don't win the sectional without him. He shows up big. He's our leading scorer a couple of nights, and without him, we're just not where we are because he has grown more and more every single game. And what people don't see also, they see the offensive output, they see the 3-point shooting. Defensively, he is by far our best defensive player, and that as a whole, not necessarily in steals and in blocks, but he's always in the right position. He's always communicating. He's kind of our leader in that, and he is just an all-around really good basketball player.
And Coach, I talked to Kevin Cherry on our regional preview, and he said he was very impressed by your following as he's watched your film. Hartford City, Blackford County has been so supportive of you so far.
It's been unbelievable. And I think we had talked to the kids, the Wapahani game in the sectional finals. That's a team that hadn't lost in any sectional game or regional game in 4 years. And so we knew that they were not going to be intimidated by the big moment. But we also knew that our following and our fans were not going to let us come out flat, because when you see the sectional film and stuff, we had a huge crowd. We had a bigger crowd than Wapahani did. And they have traditionally traveled really well. And I think that going to Lapel and playing on their home court, that's going to be a massive challenge. But our fans have shown up every single week for the last couple of months, and I expect no less Saturday. I think, it's the old cliche of the last one out, turn the lights off from Blackford County and, get over to Lapel on Saturday. And I think we'll have a great following. And these kids are easy to cheer for. And I think that's the biggest difference is when you have kids that do things the right way and carry themselves well in the community, they're easy to cheer for. And so I think some of it is a testament to our kids and how they present themselves and the way they carry themselves. But the rest of it is just the community and the way they've supported these kids. They've been nothing short. They had a pep rally for the kids today after winning the sectional, and just little things like that let them know that they care. And our I can't thank our fans enough for the support they've given us this year.
Coach, Blackford has been one of my favorite places since Elwood and Blackford were rivals in football when I was a kid in the 70s, and it's been a lot of fun covering your team so far this year, and it's been fun going back to Hartford City, and it's a great place.
It's my favorite. And the gym and the facilities, we have 3A facilities at a 2A level. I go to all these different schools, and we have a wonderful weight room. We have a Sutton Center gym that's a 2-court auxiliary gym. It's a special place. And for me, I grew up at Jay County and played at Jay County. We went to the state finals my sophomore year of high school. And at that time, the sectional and regional was at Blackford. And so for me, I have really special memories, and it's still to this day, it's year 2. We're in the regionals, but every day we get to walk into that gym. It's a special place, and I'm thankful for the opportunity to coach there.
By the way, Portland, great place too. All right, Coach, thank you so much for your time, and good luck on Saturday.
Thank you, and as always, Greg, we really appreciate all the support that you show us and our kids. It really makes it feel big time for us and feels like a college level, and that's what we're trying to do. And so I just want to thank you for everything you've done for our program.
Well, thank you for being so welcoming. Appreciate it so much. Coming up on Sunday, we will talk about the conference championships and semifinals from around the country in college basketball and NAIA regional championship results. Plus, Elijah Poe will be here with IndyCar qualifying results and a preview of the race, and we'll probably hear from others. And on Monday, we'll have brackets and the IHSA semi-state matchups. Kevin, thank you so much for joining us. I think I need to figure out a way to trim this podcast down just a little bit.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me, Greg, and look forward to talking to you again soon.
The problem is I just love too much of all the different sports. That's the problem.
Well, there's so much going on right now that's good. It's a lot to talk about.
I didn't even talk about USA Baseball.
Right. That was a good game.
Thanks so much, Kevin and Aaron. So nice to have so many supporters willing to be giving of their time and help make a successful daily podcast. Good luck to the Blackford Bruins and Coach Daniels. Also to the Lapel Bulldogs and my friend Kevin Cherry and all the teams across the state. Oh, and Boiler Up. The Central Indiana Sports Report is a product of ITP Media. And I love Susie.